Uh, Good afternoon. Actually, kanina sabi ni speaker, BS Psychology daw siya. So actually on a different field. I'm on the divine field. My major is religious education. So can read minds. So um, the for this topic, it's actually called custom software development. Um, First, the future actually starts now. It's all about digitalization. We've been talking about digitalization, automation, whatever it is, systems, you program it, and automatically all of your information goes anywhere, or goes to your devices, goes to your computer, storage, the cloud, to your car, to anywhere. And PhilIT actually we have been around for a very long time. The experience is from manufacturing. We see Emerson is here. And from the manufacturing perspective, hindi lang nasabi nung nag-introduce that I'm also done engineering job for communications. If you heard about Korea, Dacom is the company that propagated the CDMA technology in South Korea, and we are part of the team who designed and tested those systems in Korea. So, if you will see, Filipinos' skills and engineers are all over the world. Honestly speaking, I've been around. I've been to engineering, manufacturing, education, telecommunications, manufacturing, power and energy, satellite communications, and I see a lot of Filipinos. So we decided, a lot of my friends, we decided to create PhilIT. Ang nakikita nyo lang siguro, kami, konti lang kami naka-expose, pero majority of our talents all over. I cannot divulge a lot of them, because definitely they are into a lot of projects in their own. And at the end of the day, they signed already their NDAs. But at the end, it's just, if you encounter a problem, a technical problem, a security problem, you can ask around. And you can actually call a lot of friends and they will give you the answers off the record. Yun ang lagi nila sinasabi. There should be no paper trail or any trail at all. So, PhilIT, after a long, long time in system development, and etc., I encountered what we call BPM. If you heard about Savion, BPM. If you heard about Aurea. If you heard about BMC software. If you heard about ServiceNow. It's all about now, since 2005, you can already simulate processes. And these processes are actually real-world processes wherein each of us are identified. You, as a user, you are identified, let's say, okay, what's my role? What's my role and function? I know maybe for some system development here, how to make it, because you develop that kind of process or that kind of template because you want to identify each and every employee that you have. You need to profile them so that when they do something wrong or when they do something that's not part of the process, then you can definitely say that, okay, this person is breaching the security. And using a specific login, a specific token, a specific access point, a specific device, automatically you can be found out. And definitely they'll tag you as, okay, this is a security risk person. So either we fire them, or okay, you're fired, or okay, you have to have this training in order to to do your task securely. When I was in telco, one of our clients, they right there and there, from his access, he's trying to access a file that should not be accessed. Automatically, the system from BMC, they immediately know, because each and every desktop is there's an implant of, let's say, BMC Patrol, and automatically, using Remedy, you can see, okay, this part of this person on this organization, because also in BMC, you can see there the organization structure attached to your department, attached to your device, attached to your email, attached to your single sign-on login, attached to our RSA. Automatically, there's a complete trace of what you did. That's part of security. System development, meaning whole of your system. It should, nowadays, developing an application to monitor an enterprise, it should be under one framework or a multitude of framework wherein it complies with iOS standards, 2700, 2200, ITSM, ITIL Foundation. So when you develop now, yes, it's okay to get a standard GIT. Then after that standard GIT, have a fork on it. Then after making your fork, the problem with that is, first time you develop it, you don't know really what is the purpose of each and every component. So the most important thing is to know, number one, to know the purpose of the system you're trying to make. If you're trying to make a security system, what are the components? What are the hardware? What are the network? What are devices? Will I buy it somewhere? So I should also know my vendors, because sometimes if you don't know where your components are coming from, automatically it might be there might be a firmware that's insecure. Because this firmware, actually, when you create a firmware, you can actually point it to a cloud server, which is rogue, and then you can just get all of your information and put it there. And again, remove everything, or you don't know, but all of your activities are already logged on that particular server, or any server at all. Then, next, how to make it sustainable? Actually, for security, there's a lot of components. How to make it sustainable? For example, can I buy BMC software? How much would it cost? Would I buy ServiceNow? How much would it cost? Then sustainability. Would I buy it or would I create it? Now is the age of open source. But again, you can try it now, but again, it really takes time to develop a whole framework on open source. Sometimes you have to look at an open source that's already mature enough. If it's not mature enough, then still there will be a lot of vulnerabilities. Your code, even though it's not your code, it's the code of the open source, automatically you have to review it. You have to say, okay, this code is from this version, and versioning is very important. Then after sustainability, then reliability, then versioning, backward compatibility, etc. Then you have to, for all of these three, there's a lot of process that you have to go through. And it takes a lot of team members to do that. But at the end, at this time, they say, pwede naman na mag-AI eh. Sigurado ba tayong pwede na mag-AI? Each and every process is really unique for every company, every department, every individual. Kaya nga, sa AI, marami diyang tinatawag namin fallout. If you heard about fallouts, meaning, if I design my AI using 20 attributes, 20 attribute means, because we are on the digital age, 2 raised to 20. So if you create a matrix, 2 raised to 20 is how many? Let's say, para mas madali, 2 raised to 8 is something like 256 possibilities. So if you will just create 256 possibilities, automatically, each and every attribute should have an action item. You can convert that digitally. So you can create a function that if it doesn't fall, if I have 8 attributes, if it doesn't fall from these attributes, it will be a fallout or it will be an undefined thing. So again, ang gagawa pa rin nun, tao magba-validate, tao magbe-verify. So, again, AI, I think 10 years from now, baka kinakamparin natin ng AI. AI is still, even though before pa may AI na, we call it rules engine. That's why it's BPM. BPM is based on rules engine. On the open source part, it's JBPM. It's an Apache release since 2010, I believe. And that's the first release for JBPM, for rules engine. Ang mga gumagamit ito ay, let's say, mga insurance companies. If you heard that, the technology before. So up to this time, kahit nga si Tesla, when they talk about AI, they talk about labeling. A representation of the real world to the digital world. So they just have to label it. And this label means either an action item or a thing that I modify, I delete, or whatever action you put into it. Okay. Then, with the matrix, definitely these are attributes. And these attributes are data. The point in data, when you develop custom application, you actually look at the behavior of the whole organization. Meaning, I should have the right data. If the data is coming from, or if you fake the data, if you change the data, automatically everything changes. Everything changes. You will not get the right behavior, you will not get the right information, and automatically your application will not work properly as designed. If it will not work as designed, there are two things. Either you have a bug or you have a security breach. For example, I designed it to go from 1, 2, 3, and it went from 3 to 4. Then, again, you have to dissect the information. And the information should be coming from, number 1, reliable sources. If you do not detect your hardware to churn out the proper data, or a rogue actor that has entered your system without you knowing it because there's no proper deployment process. Like, for example, your talent acquisition onboarding process. You don't have a proper onboarding process, automatically you can be breached. Your system could be breached. Then, for PhilIT, maybe you're asking, what are we really doing for PhilIT? So for PhilIT has actually more than 50 applications done already. We have deployed these applications to different business domains. Actually, our main web framework, our main front end, we're using Vaadin for that. Have you heard about Vaadin? Pwede bang malaman kung sino nakarinig ng Vaadin? Wow, may isa roon. Sir, usap tayo mamaya. Okay, so Vaadin is a very secure web framework. We've tested this for a very long time. Majority of the deployments for Vaadin, nasa Europe yan. Ang main base is Europe. Main industries, telecommunications, power and energy, healthcare, banking sector. So yan yung front end na ginagamitan ng Vaadin. Then, nakita nyo, but my ServiceNow, actually, ServiceNow is linked with Hedera. Also, PhilIT is doing Hedera hash graph. Who knows about Hedera hash graph? The future of blockchain. Again, for Hedera hash graph, that it will also be part of, meaning data immutability, part of security. Token 2049, meaning each and every one of you can be identified in the digital world with a specific token. Meaning, if you're not registered there, a lot of companies, at the end of the day, will not grant you access to their system. Then, what is ServiceNow? ServiceNow is actually, the framework for ServiceNow is what you call, have you heard about the term configurable instance? And configurable instance relationships? Wherein it's just like, because the future will be quantum, we are still on the digital age. Quantum means it's just like particles, configurable instance on different domains. When you talk about domains, I can be a human person, that's my domain. And that can be a screen, that's another domain. But if I want to relate the two together to form something, their relationship, for example, for me to relate to that light, I need to create an attribute that links us together. So that we can define the process of interaction. So, pasensya na, medyo technical, pero that is how it is. Maybe a better example will be, may HR, kaya talent acquisition person, okay, si HR, nag-hire ng tao, okay, anong kailangan ko? Kailangan ko ng solutions architect. What are the attributes? Ito, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pag na-hire na kita, i-assign kita sa isang room. So, may room configurable instance. Yung room configurable instance, ano yung meron doon? Room number, may phone ba yan, may computer ba yan, etc. So, I'm gonna relate your configurable instance to this room. So that when I see you in the system, in the future, parang matrix, makikita mo na lang yung mga particles. Kunyari, hahanapin ko, for example, hanapin si Omar. Nasaan ba si Omar ngayon araw na ito? Ano ba yung ginagawa niya? So that's part also of security, surveillance. Alam ko agad na pagpasok ko sa system, alam ko kung anong ginagawa ko. That is ServiceNow. Hindi ako promoter of ServiceNow, but that is what they do. Even BMC, that's what they do. And the database design of all of this, big data na siya. Kung makikita yung database niya, wala nang relationship, wala nang relational database. Sorry to say, but at the end, relational databases will not exist. Everything will be two things. Physical tables and views. I've seen this since 2006, and it's happening now. If you're not there at this time when you design something, it will not be scalable. It will never be scalable. Then, why Fujitsu? Bakit nandiyan si Fujitsu? Just recently, Fujitsu announced that they will be upgrading their system from Vaadin 7 to Vaadin 14 in Europe. May nagsabi sa akin dito na sa Pilipinas, hindi naman gagawin yan kasi yung mga system sa Europe, hindi naman kailangan ng Pilipinas. And may sagot ako ron, pero hindi ko na lang sasabihin. Pero at the end of the day, the future is really single platform. Single integration. Because if you have a lot of platforms, a lot of components that are not synchronized, that are not fully integrated, again, that is a vector for attack. Next, why Aminasec? Last year, Aminasec was here. So, nakilala ko sila, na-meet ko yung kanila. Aminasec is doing IoT SCADA. So, in the future, kaya nga, PhilIT looks at the future. We will be having a collaboration together, and hopefully it's gonna start soon. HSBC, actually, banking system. Sino nasa banking system? Sino nasa banks? Wala po ba? Wala sa bangko. Ano yung normally ginagamit nila sa database nila o sa data nila for mainframe? AS400, di ba? Tama ba? Sino nasa banking? Wala sumasagot. May NDA siguro lahat sila. So, automatically, karamihan sa mga banking system are really doing AS400. Majority of banks were programmed using RPG. Again, later on, there's a big change that will happen maybe this next 5 years, the next 10 years. They will be changing from RPG coding to balita lang naman, gossip lang naman. Mahilig si Hedera sa gossip. So this is the gossip that I'm gonna tell you, that they will be changing to, in Europe, they're gonna be using Vaadin framework for the front end. And because we are a Filipino company, hindi nyo ba alam na 70% of Filipinos are still poor? According to our data, that's the data we have currently. And what makes the Filipino poor is actually the access to information, the access to cash, the access to financial services. And in order for us to help, we have created a system to cater to the microservices NGO in the Philippines. Our first client is actually Ahon sa Hirap, Incorporated. Actually, wala sila rin ngayon, pero I asked them to attend in order to show them that the IT industry or the security or the technology sector in the Philippines are looking at them, or giving them the hope that we will never leave them behind. Bakit Filipino? Kasi normally, these types of systems, bibilihin natin sa ibang bansa. How much would we pay? Normally, we pay them, let's say, per member, we pay this amount. Then normally, ang gastos nila dyan, mahirap na nga sila, ang gagastosin pa nila to manage their system digitally, fully integrated. Magkano bang BMC? Magkano ba ang ServiceNow? Magkano ba yung ibang banking system? Mahina siguro 10 million per year to manage it, to build it. But they are poor. So the most important thing for us really is to help them and to build a system that will actually cater to the Filipino context. Catering it, giving it to the poor, and helping them change their lives, make their lives better so that no one will be left behind. So, siguro na-explain ko na lahat ng kandito, nung logo. So, that's who PhilIT is. Not only the microfinance industry. So, we created the system on the framework almost the same as BMC software, ServiceNow. Again, with security in mind. How would you secure these systems? Sino nasa banking again? OTP. Sino naka-receive na ng OTP? Kailan na uso OTP? Lately lang, nung pandemic. But again, you can create your own. Any organization can create their own OTPs. Hindi mahirap. Meron akong bibigay na open source. Pati device, pati design, and everything. You can contact me if you want to implement it. We can do that. I can give you the whole design if you want to. So, kahit nga si Elon Musk, gumagamit ng Raspberry Pi. Tama ba? Sa SpaceX niya, ang ginagamit niyang... Actually, Raspberry Pi, yung whole class ng yon, ang tinatawag namin doon, SBC. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng SBC? Single board computer ang tawag doon. Ginagamit din yan sa manufacturing, yung mga SMTs, ewan ko kung sino nasa manufacturing dyan, if they're using SMTs, AOI, automatic optical inspectors, ICTs, reflow, laser system, sinong gumagamit ng HPV, LTX for testing. So those things, ang ginagamit talaga sa mga yon is single board computer, kahit sa laser system, meaning you just interface your information and you process it actually. Then, how to make it secure, make sure that ikaw talaga yung gumawa, hindi mo kinopya somewhere, okay, may kinopya akong code, nilagay ko lang dito, hindi mo minodify, i-mod mo naman. Para naman, kung may same program na nagawa dyan, at least, hindi mo lang kinopy as is. Modify mo naman. Yun ang sinasabi ko about security when you create custom application. Okay. Then, what is our vision? Today, usually, is the age of information. So, for age of information, the most important thing is information should be immutable. When you talk about immutability, you talk about it should not be changed. It should not be updated. It should not be deleted. Wala. As is. When this event happens, this is the status of the information. So that at the end of the day, I can make an analytics, whatever time frame, whatever data categorization I have, I can actually see the real score. Because from the real score, I can move forward. I can develop from this level. Progress should be cyclic. Meaning, next level. Again, I'll go back to step 1 and 2, but on the second level. Then after finishing the second level, again, it's cyclic again. Ang tawag doon, capability, you are improving your capability. Wala namang superhuman na nag-start ka, bukas, expert ka na. Hindi, it takes time. It takes 5 years to perfect or to mature in the skills that you have actually decided to do. Hindi yan, nabasa ko lang, magaling na ako. You have to practice. Na-certify ako, pumasa ako, may certification ako, okay na? Hindi. Normally ako, tinitignan ko, ilang taon ka ba nagpa-practice? Ano na yung mga nagawa mong, let's say, products, function, methodologies, templates for your particular work? Titignan yan. For HR people, normally, pag nag-interview ako, normally yan tinitignan ko before I let somebody in my team. Normally yan ginagawa ko. Then, workflow. Sabi, lagi na siya, ITIL 4, certified ako. ITIL is very, very important. Put that in your heart. Kasi yan ang magsisecure ng system nyo. When mga developers dito or kahit sa security, may process yan eh. May mga terminologies yan. Definitely. Hindi ko na lang siya i-discuss, but I'm also giving a seminar on this. If you want to invite me, I can give the seminar. Then domain-driven. What do you mean by when we talk about domain? Each of one of us should design something on a specific domain. Hindi yung pwedeng transportation. Sandali. Okay, transportation yan, pero may mga details ng domain yan eh. Hindi pwedeng transportation generic. Hindi pwede. Itong system na ito for this domain, tapos, pwede ko naman gamitin dito, babaguhin ko lang. Pero, again, pwede mong baguhin, pero you should be, again, an expert on another field, which is configuration management. Then, after configuring it, again, if your organization is growing and moving and growing, may isa pang management yan. Kaya nga ITIL framework eh. ITSM, ITIL. Why? After you configuring something, it will have a life of its own. If it has a life of its own, automatically, changes will happen. For example, kinonfigure kita ngayon. Okay, tinuruan kitang, let's say, mag-Py4J. At the end, nag-change ka na. So next, ano yung ibibigay ko sa yung task? Okay, marunong ka na ito, marunong ka na yan. Next, the intersection between those two tasks is actually the change that will happen to you. Then I need to manage that change. Baka sabihin, uy, magaling na ako rito. Sir, pwede bang increase? Oo naman, nagsipag ka eh. Pero, kikita ba tayo sa ginawa mo? Pag hindi tayo kikita dyan, again, there will be attributes to that. Then, security in the future will be zero trust framework. Meaning, token. Token can be hardware. Token can be software. Token can be a process. Token can be just my mindset. Parang wala tayong interaction. Security guard, nagkakitaan lang tayo. Boss, bawal kang pumasok dito, naka-shorts ka, bawal naka-shorts. So, again, zero trust. I will never trust you if you're not comply to the things or the attributes that are necessary for you to enter. Implementation, seamless migration. Once you talk about seamless migration, seamless, kailangan may transformation? Wala. Kailangan ganito? Wala. Because the digital world follows a certain, it's an interface. Attribute 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lalagyan mo lang ng label. Actually, pag nagpo-program kami, sasabihin, double ba yan, integer ba yan, etc. Honestly speaking, para mabilis, seamless, in the digital world, in web, isa lang sasabihin namin, string lang yan. Everything is a string. Put everything in a string. Gandahan mo na lang yung parsing technology mo. Nandito yata si OpenText eh. Marami ako nakikita dyan, parsing technology to mitigate or to define or to look at data signatures. Majority of them are parsing. 2 minutes lang daw. Sige. Tapos na pala. So, any questions? May 2 minutes daw. Do you want to ask hard questions? Easy. Yan. Kung hindi, you can go to our booth. May question po. Boss.
Anyone have questions? Going once, twice.